Episode 2.
Blood Simple and dead. He's never coming back. Blood Simple, film noir. They tried to make Fargo. Blood Simple.
What's up, everyone? I'm Shafti Malik, and you're listening to the Who Dropped the Popcorn podcast. The premise is simple. One of us picks a film that we know none of the others have seen. The rest of the group watch the film, and we get here to discuss it. Joining me tonight is Dave McHugh.
Boom shakalaka, all them people them want.
Andy Newlands.
Simple good evening.
And all the way from the very north of England, Kyle Hammond.
Woo!
Hello there.
No, he's got a fan club.
It's not the very north of England, Shafi. It's the beginning of the north, the gateway to the north.
Okay, so
you know nothing,
here's your warning.
Shafti Malik.
You bastard. You know bastard.
Here's your warning. We'll be going into heavy spoilers. So if you haven't seen the film, we thoroughly recommend you watch it before listening to this. This episode's choice is Dave's. Without further ado, Dave, what film did you choose for us?
Blood Simple.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, that's end of episode there.
Thanks, Dave.
Oh,
Okay,
do you want
bye.
me to say why- So you want me to say why I chose Blood Simple?
Yes, so
That's
tell us what the film is, when it was made, who's it by, who made it, etc., etc.
Blimey. Okay, so Blood Simple is a film made in 1984 by the Coen brothers. And when you watch it, even on DVD now, even when you watch it on DVD, it feels like you're watching a 1984 on a VHS copy. It is so gritty. It is so raw. It's so real. I just love this film. And the thing that I love most about this film is every other film sucks people in by you're left hanging. You're wondering what's going on. You don't get it. You don't know the full story. All the films, you're like, what's going on? What is going on? But in this film, you know more than the characters. You're ahead of the characters. And I can't think of another film that's ever been like this. You know more. You're thinking, oh my gosh, they think that. That's not the truth. Whereas most other films, you're like going, I don't get this. I watched The Big Sleep the other day and I literally spent the whole film going, who's that? What's that? Who's that? Who's going on? But Blood Simple, you're ahead of the crowd. That's why I love this film. I cannot think of another film ever made like this. Scene, done, boom.
Right.
Nice.
So I guess it's because you were kind of kept engaged and knew what was what, and did not feel sort of confused at all at any point.
Exactly.
Kyle, Andy, did you feel the same about that? Do you, at any
No.
point, were you thinking who's doing what and why has he done that, etc., etc.?
No, I think they've got it spot on there. I mean, I don't think it's original. It's a comedy of errors as such. So with all comedy of errors, you kind of know more than the audience. But yes, I've not seen a comedy of errors that's been so kind of dark and noir as such.
Yeah, nice. Generally, I can't think of another film, but if anyone's got even a film that comes close in that sort of style, I can't think of one.
We could talk about Fargo later on, I think, because there's quite a lot of similarities between this and Fargo, which is also by the Coen brothers, but I think we'll get to that probably later on. I know Shafi's got a lot to say about other Coen brothers stuff.
Yeah, no. So.
Well, I've got lots to say about other films that are of a similar ilk. So, but you'll get to that later. So Kyle, out of all the sort of performances in this film, do you have any sort of particular favorites?
I thought that Andy was going to give us a synopsis of the plot.
Yes, actually, sorry. We'll edit that part out. So Andy...
Nah, keep it in. The blooper reel. It's fine. All right, so this is my understanding of what I watched. Okay, So we might need to do a second podcast here and somebody else actually gives the evidence of this, but this is my snapshot of the plot. So there's a lady and she's having an affair. There's a character called Julian, and he suspects his wife Abby of being unfaithful. Abby gets one of the bartenders, I think his name is Ray, to give her a lift home, and then they essentially have an affair. And then Julian, is that it? Is it Marty? Marty suspects, and then like gets this detective guy who's played by Emmet Walsh, who is apparently a very well-known actor. I don't know. And then something happens for the next hour. There's a few mishaps. It drags a bit. I got really bored.
What?
Wow.
The detective went to like kill the couple and then didn't, and then like shot the boss, and then he put his cigarette lighter down. Then there was like a 30-minute shot of some fish on a table. Thought that was quite arty. And then he died. And then he didn't really die. He was in the back of the car. And then he's on the road because, you know, some GCSE student thought, oh, I need to spice up this film. What can I do to get a few more pages? Then he was on the road, and then, oh, wow, a lorry's coming. And then the lorry came, and that went on and on and on. And then nothing happened. The lorry just went by. And for some reason, didn't stop. There's a man with a dead body. And then they went on a field the wrong way. So the field had been
Would you
plowed.
stop? I wouldn't stop.
It was
I'd carry on
just-
driving.
Yeah, well, that's because you're a pussy who chooses films like this. And then, like, you know, he's still not dead. It's like Lazarus. It just keeps burying him. And it just goes on and on and on. And then, like, I don't know. Then Ray comes and finds like the gun. It's like, oh, Ray's done that because he thinks the woman he's having an affair has done it. And then, it just goes on and on. And there's this really nice, like, athletic
got the
young
order
Bill
wrong.
Cosby guy
Got the order
who works
wrong,
in the bar. And then,
You've got
and then
the
the
order
fish
wrong.
is still there. The fish is still there. And then all of a sudden, the detective who can barely walk because of the gout is the best sniper since, like, fucking Matt Damon's done a film about sniping. And then he takes out the guy, and
Matt
then the light
Damon
bulb.
again.
Oh, I don't know. And then she thinks it's Marty. Then suddenly we're in The Exorcist, and Marty's alive in the room for no reason. It's just ridiculous. And then she shoots the door. The detective dies and looks at the plumbing under the sink. Fade out. Film done. Waste of time.
Look, just because I didn't like Ford versus Ferrari doesn't mean you have to not like this film. You
I'm not.
deliberately set out not to like this film.
No, I didn't. I was
That's
so bored. I
That's
actually had to watch
childish.
it over 4 times. It was so bored. I was so bored. It's so long. Like, I don't need to see him walk 300 yards from his car to the grave. And then, oh, God, it was so boring.
Oh, mate. Oh,
So, but do you know the mad thing is, I'm absolutely glad I watched it because I love knowing the story in the head. I prefer knowing the story and thinking about the story in my head than the actual act of watching the film. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I just, in my mind, it's
that's
a
exactly
better
what I said
story
about Ford and Ferrari.
than, yeah, so fair enough, like, fair play. But it felt to me like some university students had got some money together and just put this in, and that was their bit, got them, and then they went on and did well. But I appreciate this was their first film, and it was before loads and loads of films, but I thought it was pretty dull, went on a bit too long, personally.
So outrageous. How I've never had an opinion be so wrong. Just so you're so wrong.
I mean, it is. Let's just bear in mind it is an opinion. So
Exactly. And
there's
it's the
no
wrongest
such thing as a
opinion
wrong opinion.
I think we should change the name of this podcast to Outrageous, because that seems to be the most commonly used word in the first episode on this.
Don't get me wrong, you know, it was nice, but I was just so looking forward to the film ending. So I could be like, okay, right, I've done it. Like, just when I don't need to see him washing the floor for 20 minutes. Like, oh, now he's at the sink with the blood. Now he's back at the floor. He's back at the sink. I get it. Like,
That's so real. You're in
Too long.
you're in that crime scene with
nah, I'm in my lounge waiting to go out. It's just, oh God, not for me.
You don't ever go out. You're a family man. You never go out. Come on. Well,
So that's the synopsis.
You're more likely to clean up murder scene, then you have to go out clubbing or something like that.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Whatever.
But I wouldn't. Oh, I don't know. It wasn't for me, guys.
This is so outrageous. Just because I had a go at Ford vs Ferrari,
No, this has got nothing to do with it. It was genuinely.
It is
I thought it was
exactly.
boring. It's not. I swear on my kid's life.
Sorry, I just want to say, because I'm pretty sure I had a conversation with you, Andy, and you said that you really enjoyed No Country for Old Men. Is that right?
Yeah.
So that's quite, because the pacing is quite similar to those two films are paced quite similar, don't you think?
Yeah, but I didn't feel invested in any character in Blood Simple. I didn't like any of them. I didn't care what happened to them. I was so disconnected from everything. I was like, well, he's a douchebag, she's a douchebag, he's a bit of a douchebag, and the other guy's a douchebag. So what do I care? But,
That's an interesting point, actually. I did enjoy the film, but I didn't particularly care about any of the characters.
yeah.
I just enjoyed being there for the ride, watching this chaos kind of go on. A comedy of errors just descending worse and worse into chaos. I think Shafi might change your mind about this film, though, Andy, when he tells you who worked on the film.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon directed this film. He did it during his GCSEs.
Yeah, well,
He did it in
like
kindergarten. He was in kindergarten
like
with Matt Damon.
So
Ben Affleck on the sound boom.
So, funnily enough, a lot of the people involved in this film were it was sort of like it was their first time being for the Coen Brothers. It's their first time being on a film set. But who they actually used as their cinematographer, so their person kind of creating all the shots, kind of doing all the camera movements, is Barry Sonnenfeld. Do you know who that is, Andy?
I'm so sorry. I the only Barry I know is Sheen and the singer that died.
Well, you should know, because
Right.
that is the
Did he do Men in
director.
Black?
That is the director of all three Men in Black films.
Wow, what a legend! I take it all back. This is one of the best shot movies of all time.
God damn right.
I love the bit where they filmed the Texas cowboy putting their shoes on the table to give it a relaxed Texan vibe 80,000 times. That was particularly entertaining.
That is an odd way to die, isn't it? Wouldn't your leg fall off the desk?
It's honestly, it's ridiculous that the whole 17-hour death scene is just ridiculous.
So there is another connection regarding Barry Sonnenfeld. So Barry Sonnenfeld also directed the Addams Family films.
Still the best special effects of all time. There has never been a better special effects than Thing walking down that corridor. I've never seen better special effects. Sorry,
yeah, I'd agree with that, actually. I would agree with that.
It is literally, I believe that is a hand running down the corridor. 30 years ago, that movie came out, and that is still the best special effects I've ever seen.
Those are great pair of films. Both those Addams Family films are great.
They are wonderful.
Yeah. So the actor that plays Marty is the one, is like the villain in the
I know. I looked him up afterwards.
Yeah. So
he did better in Addams Family Values than this, I would say.
He was in Commando as well, wasn't he? He was like Bennett's number 2.
And also, looking at his credits, he was in The Usual Suspects, which I can't remember who he played. Was he the partner of the cop investigating the case?
Yes. Yeah, he was.
I can't remember.
Yeah, 100%.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen that film in a while. Right. Okay. Yeah, I remember. Andy. I went into school and I said, and I don't know why, but I made sure I found you, and I said, Andy, there's a film called The Usual Suspects. Andy, kiss me first. First, kiss me. Now, there's a film called The Usual Suspects. You got to find it and watch it.
I love that film. Now that's a film I could talk about, but Dave, just to clarify, honestly, this has nothing to do with last week's episode. I genuinely just thought it just dragged on a little bit and wasn't exciting enough for my simple mind.
Watch it again. Watch it
There
again.
is something you did like about the film, because you were riffing on it just before we start recording.
So don't get me wrong, there's lots I like about it. So I love the fact that I now know this story. I love it. I like thinking about it and stuff. I like kind of like changing it in my mind. I do like certain scenes, but the music, like bum, bum, bum,
Yeah.
ba-da-dum, that has stuck with me.
80s,
Like,
80s synths or Max.
It's amazing, yeah.
yeah, it's absolutely fantastic.
When I was watching it, I text Dave and I said, "This is amazing. This score." There's two bits of original music, and they're like the same riff used on two different songs or two different tunes as such. And
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Amazing, yeah.
It just sets the scene. And you're just when you're like, it's just the middle of nowhere with nobodies. It's just everyone's a nobody. That's why I think you're not invested in these characters, because they're just so ordinary. And they're in the middle of nowhere, and you stare out of the pub, and you can see the kind of furnace burning away, and it's just like you can get away with murder in this town because there's no one to find you. I love this film so much. I absolutely love this film because it's just their world. Whatever they want to do, they can get away with, and it would appear they can. That's my opinion anyway.
There's just one thing about this movie that I don't expect any of you to answer this now, but I'd like to go away, and something happened in this movie which I don't understand, and I think it's insane. But the scene where the detective is creeping in the house and you think he's about to kill the couple, he then stops and goes outside. Now, just before he goes through the door, I thought I saw somebody standing in the doorway on the other side of the room. I thought, no, that's insane. So I paused it and watched it back and have frozen it a bit. And there is someone standing there. So I'm not asking you to like, what the fuck's that all about? But I think you should all go and watch that and find out and just have a little look at that. And then we maybe add it onto this conversation because it's really, really weird. Like, I don't know if it's an Easter egg or if I was hoping one of you guys was going to say, "Oh yeah, I saw that as well," but I have no explanation for it.
No, that's really interesting.
It's really weird.
If there's someone standing there, I would say it's a mistake. I really would. But wow,
really,
gosh, yeah,
wow,
that's mad.
Yeah,
wow.
Have a little look. It's just weird. But no, I don't want to poo-poo the film. It obviously, like, it was well before lots and lots of these other films came out, and you can see it set a precedent for X, Y, and Z, and it was their first attempt and all the rest of it. Music was great, and like Dave, funny actually when you're talking about that burning furnace scene like that, and it, like if that was a piece of art on my wall, I'd be like, this is fantastic. And there were so many scenes that you could just click, and actually that looks in isolation fantastic. But the whole thing for me just I got a bit bored.
No, I can understand that because I wasn't blown away the first time. I was blown away the second time, which is weird. Yeah.
That furnace scene for me though, when it first came on, I was like, "Oh, this is a Chekhov's gun. They're gonna be putting a body in here at some point," but it didn't really materialize. Whether it's a misdirect, I don't know.
So just going back to Andy's what he noticed, there's actually an IMDb credit where it says where it points out all the goofs of the film, which basically means that all the mistakes in the film. And there's a subheading. It says crew or equipment visible, and it says when the detective is leaving Ray's house at night, you can see someone standing in the shot.
Wow, thank you, because I literally thought I was going insane. Like, have I missed a subplot? Have I missed a character? Is there someone else? Right, thank you.
Yeah, man, it's like Freeman and Little Baby, like Ghost Kid.
Did that freak you out? Yeah.
That was another reason it ruined the movie, because I was like, what, am I not understanding something here? There's another human being standing in this house. And then I was like, okay, so hang on, he's like, and this is before like the double crossing. I was like, right, he's left the house, and I was like, is that because he's in cahoots with this other person? So it completely threw me off. Like, so in terms of a film having an error, that for me was a massive one, because it was such a pivotal moment, and then you've basically got like some sort of like he looks like Napoleon Dynamite as well, which is insane. So like I'm like, why is Napoleon Dynamite standing in the hallway? Like this makes no sense.
That's that.
And then I went,
Ethan Cohen, one of the pair of the Coen brothers, looks a lot like Napoleon Dynamite. So
well, it might have been him, but for me, it really, I must say it made no sense to me.
Yo, Kim, just stand in the door. Okay.
Just going back to that point, because if I had seen that, it would have freaked me out. But you're saying in a, have I missed something kind of way? It would actually just freak me out. Like being, I would actually be scared. I would actually be scared seeing that. But going back to a point that I was going to make is that this, if you look at kind of the Coen brothers filmography, this feels like the closest they've made to an actual horror film, and there are kind of a lot of it's shot quite like a horror film, and and that's why there's kind of this kind of brooding pace, and there's a very Dave, I'm not sure if you remember this because you said you haven't seen it in a bit, but there's an odd shot where Marty comes to take Frances McDormand's character, and he sort of drags her out of the house, and then the camera, it's the same type of shot they use in the Evil Dead films, where it's sort of like how they did it in Evil Dead is they had a camera mounted on a motorbike, and they kind of drove up to sort of the cabin, and they do that same shot in this film, even though it doesn't really warrant for that type of shot.
One of the Coen brothers worked on Evil Dead, didn't they? Because didn't they all live with Sam Raimi?
Oh yes. So actually, this is what I was going to. So Sam Raimi cameos in Miller's Crossing. They all lived together before, and I think Ethan Cohen worked as an assistant editor on the first Evil Dead film as well. And but one thing, and I think I shared this in the WhatsApp group, they did like an investors trailer for Blood Simple, and that actually stars Bruce Campbell from the Evil Dead films, and that really is shot like a horror film.
They should have reshot that whole kidnap scene as well, because that, for me, the acting over that 40-second period was diabolical. Like the rest of the acting in the movie was fine, but the kidnap scene was almost laughable. It was like how she overpowered him. Like it was just fucking awful. That I couldn't quite believe that had made the final cut.
Bear in mind, regarding the quality of how everything looks, it was very, very low budget. They made this on a shoestring.
I know, but that was honestly, that was like the joke fight scene out of I Am Dolomite. It was just, it didn't fit well for me at all. I just thought it was, she's kicked him in the nuts. How fresh. Now she's got away.
I love the cheap budget. I think it just makes this film. It's just it's raw. I'll say it again. It's just so raw.
So what were the standout performances of the film? For Kyle, what do you think?
Standout one, which the PI, is played by Emmet Walsh, who, for me, I've always known as the dad from Bigfoot. He's John
Lithgow.
He's John Lithgow's dad in Bigfoot. When he first came on screen, obviously he looked quite a bit younger. I was like, who's that guy? Yeah, it's him. But Knives Out, he was a small part in Blade Runner as well. He's just a sleazy motherfucker. He played that part brilliantly. That scene when they're in the car, there's just like two sweaty boys in this car with flies on their faces. It's brilliant.
Did you find that he sort of slurred a lot of his dialogue, that it was quite hard to understand what he was saying?
Yep.
Was that on purpose?
Yeah, I think it is.
I had to stop the film 30 seconds in and actually like Google opening dialogue just to understand. Like even the beginning was like when he was talking about, I just couldn't understand a word he was saying.
Well, why are you putting the subtitles on then?
I don't know. I bought a new TV. I don't know how it works, but I couldn't understand a word he was saying. Totally agree with you, Shafi.
So you had to
lucky
Google. You had to Google what the dialogue was.
Yeah.
Did you get the answer then?
I tried 4 times to understand it. I was like, no, I literally don't know what is going on.
Right.
I didn't think Frances McDormand was that good, though, to be honest. She seemed to play it like quite stoic, and just she had like a really like miserable Gorm face. Like I watched Fargo the day after or 2 days after, and obviously she's unbelievable in that film. But in this film, I mean, it's probably on purpose, but both her and Marty were just kind of like stoic as such, and no wonder if she was having an affair, because they probably had a really boring home life, just being these two characters just like staring and like holding their mouths open while they talk.
I disagree. I think Frances McDormand, well, her character's getting out of an abusive relationship, right? And there are scenes where she sort of, I think she sees,
abusive.
Is it abusive relationship?
I think so. I mean,
I didn't take that from the film at all.
He's just like a loser, and she's like just shagging around him.
I got the impression she'd done this before as well. Had a history of being a bit naughty.
She there's that scene in bed where she wakes up, and she wakes up and she talks to Ray, and she talks about how like Marty's quite similar to him, and the fact he doesn't say much, but when he does say things, he says some sort of horrible things to her, while Ray says like nice things. Remember that scene?
I can't remember that. But if that's true, I don't think she's coming out of an abusive relationship. I think it's probably just a relationship that should end. They both had enough of it. That's what I got. They're just both done with it.
And because Marty says to the PI, or he says to someone, "You've done this before." I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, and then Marty says to Ray, he's like, "Oh, it's funny. I can't wait until she says, you know." And then
that's
like,
right. Yeah. That's planting the seed, man.
Yeah, she says something like, "Oh, it wasn't me," or "I'd never do something like that," and then she says it later on, doesn't she, about the gun? Yeah. So sorry, Shaf, I didn't take it as an abusive relationship. Definitely not an enjoyable one, but
I got that impression, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I just see it as a marriage that's been
run its
too
course.
long. It's run its course. Yeah, but anyway, to talk about her performance, I think it's a crazy situation that they find themselves in. They're like, shit, my life's in danger all of a sudden, and it's just mad. I just think they're normal people who find themselves, their life is in danger. And that's why Ray is...
Frances McDormand is sort of in the dark of what's going on. So she's not even... She doesn't really know the extent of how her life's in danger until kind of... very close to the end.
I guess until the end, yeah. But I just think she probably is just bored of life. I think she's just bored of life. And she's ready for a change.
I was ready for a change about 30 minutes into the film.
I think
the acting is why you just can't get emotionally attached to anyone, because like Carl said, honestly, she's like a goldfish for the first 40 minutes.
Honestly, watch it again and you'll love it.
I will give it another chance, but
it's honestly, it's incredible. It's incredible.
It's not incredible. You can't say it's incredible.
Dave, what are the sort of the standout moments of the film? The moments that really kind of keep on regurgitating in your head when you think about the film.
It's when, spoiler alert, it's when Ray goes into the room to find the husband dying, and he finds the gun that the private detective stole to kill him with. And I just think that is just genius. It's like, and he's suddenly like, holy shit, I just thought this was a girl that I could just maybe have an affair with, but she is a nutcase. She's willing to kill her husband. Obviously, she hasn't, but that is what he thinks. And I can't imagine how mad a moment that would have been. And he loves her so much that he is willing to bury the body for her. He looks at her like, if you're going to kill somebody, make sure you do it right. It's just, oh man, it's just so crazy. That is what does it for me. And then he has to drive this body out into the middle of nowhere, not even dead. That's what makes this film for me. It's just, again, more than they do. And he thinks that's happened, but it hasn't. And it's just mad. And he would have found himself in such a crazy situation where he's like, I want to run away with this girl. I want to start a new life for her. But will she kill me in 10 years' time? Oh, man. Honestly, it just blows me away every time when I think about it. It's just crazy.
Yeah, Marty planted that seed, like where he says she'll do this to you. Obviously meaning that she'll cheat on you. He starts thinking, fuck, she might murder me as well.
Yeah, fuck, it's just mad, man. Absolutely mental.
So Dave, because I know out of us four, you and I have watched sort of the most Coen Brothers films between ourselves. Are you saying that this is the tip of, the very top of your Coen Brothers rankings?
Well, no, because like it's mad. Like I could say that this is maybe not even in the top 5 of Coen Brothers films, and I would still think that every single person in the world has to watch Blood Simple, and I think it's fantastic. A 9 out of 10 film that must be watched. Everyone must watch once in their life. But Coen Brothers, it probably falls in the top 5.
Okay.
It's about 4th or 5th.
When you re-watched it, did it make you think of other Coen Brothers films?
No, not really. Like, to be honest, I can't really see that much because it has no comedy. It is just completely dark and completely raw. And every other Coen Brothers film
I disagree with that.
has comedy.
The situation is comical, really. Like when he's trying to clean up the blood and stuff, I was just like laughing, going, "What is this guy doing? You're never going to get away with this." When he's putting the body in the car, there's all blood over the back seat. He doesn't even attempt to clean it up. It's like, what is this guy thick? What is he doing?
Well, yeah, no, I guess that could be like the beginning of the Coen Brothers' dark sense of humor. So, yeah, I agree on that. But it's not nothing in the script. You've read the script would make you laugh, whereas other Coen Brothers films, I think you would laugh out loud reading the script. But yeah, it's interesting because it doesn't feel like a Coen Brothers film to me. Later, when they make Raising Arizona, that is the epitome of Coen Brothers. Coen Brothers is Big Lebowski and Raising Arizona for me. Just mad characters, mad stories, just brilliant fun. And Blood Simple and Fargo are a little bit more down to earth. They feel a bit realer. But for me, the Coen Brothers, when I watch a Coen Brothers film, when I watch a Coen Brothers film, I just want to be in close to Fantasyland, just almost like a film that is probably couldn't happen. That's what I want from a Coen Brothers film. I want to be in La La Land.
Yeah, I mean, I listened to a podcast by a quite a well-known cinematographer called Roger Deakins, and he's worked with the Coen Brothers films, quite a few Coen Brothers films. He did.
Just quickly, I'm going to interrupt you, Shafi. Go on his IMDb. He's done some of the best films ever made. Honestly.
Yeah. He's a legend, and his podcast is brilliant as well. And he, there was a podcast about breaking down No Country for Old Men, and he was talking about the Coen Brothers, and he says that regarding the genre of their films, there's always, it's not that the films are comedy or not comedy. What they're interested in is the absurdity of humanity. And when I was in my teens, I read series of short stories written by Ethan Cohen, and every character that was described in each of those stories had these sort of larger than life characters that are a bit out of step with everyone else. And I think a trait in Blood Simple is the PI character. He's sort of larger than life. And I'm pretty sure, even though I haven't read the screenplay, I'm pretty sure how he's sort of described would be kind of in sync with how a lot of these sort of larger than life characters are described in other Coen Brothers films. And I think, something I've always thought about the Coen Brothers films is that I could watch something like, I could watch Raising Arizona, something kind of really wacky, or The Hudsucker Proxy, which is this sort of snappy, fun, almost like tonally for kids, great film. That's actually the first Coen Brothers film I saw. But then you could watch something like The Man Who Wasn't There, which is sort of this very, it's black and white, deadpan film, and similar with this and No Country for Old Men. I could watch that. I could watch all those films, and for me, even though they sort of swish from genre to genre and from tone to tone, it still feels like the Coen Brothers. And possibly it's because, you'd probably have to sort of watch more films in their sort of filmography to sort of to understand that. But that's sort of how I feel, is that all these films feel like they couldn't be made by anyone else other than them.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't know what it is, but I know I'm watching a Coen Brothers film. But don't ask me why I know. I just kind of get it. It just feels Coen Brothers-y.
As a man that's not as adverse into films as you guys, I watched Blood Simple, and then I did see Fargo a long time ago, but I made sure I rewatched it. I wanted to watch some more, but just wanted to run out of time. There's a lot of similarities though between this and Fargo, and I know that I was reading some stuff in the Coen Brothers and said no, they're not similar, but as a simple man, I think there's quite a lot of similarities, really.
It's bad.
It's like regional specific, obviously. I mean, Blood Simple is Texas, where it's hot as hell. Fargo's Minnesota, where it's cold. It's like the opposite there. It's about crime that descends into chaos. There's similarities there. There's quite a lot of similar shots as well, like the highway scene.
Yep.
There's similar points there. In fact, even the low tracking shot of the car going down the road, you could just see the lines in the middle. Obviously, Frances McDormand is in both, but characters are really far apart from each other. People are saying that there's similarities with No Country for Old Men, but it's been a long time since I've seen that, and I can't remember loads about it, to be honest.
I can't see that.
I think I think as far as pacing is concerned, I think it's quite similar. But I think that's where. But also I think regarding this film, Raising Arizona, and No Country for Old Men, is that there is a person, there is an antagonist who is hired by someone, and there is a sense of dread from this antagonist. So regarding
what have I done? Oh my god.
So
I've unleashed hell.
So the Raising Arizona, it's the sort of Hell's Angel that's trying to find them, and with No Country for Old Men. Well, No Country for Old Men, the character of Anton Sugar, it feels like that's a character that's very unique, because it feels like he cannot be bargained with. He's just an unstoppable force of nature. Where the variant where it comes to this film is that Emmet Walsh's character is kind of bumbling, and one thing is I don't get why he opened that window. I still don't get why he opened that window and tried to open the window in the other. Why did he open the window from outside? Why did he open?
I thought he was going to go out onto the fire escape and then going through that window to try and kill her.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why did he have to open it from his side? Couldn't he have just stuck his head out the window and just opened it?
Yeah.
Maybe he needed the window to be open to get his hand in to get some leverage to go around it. I don't know.
So the thing is that I think that he's no Anton Sugar because I know for me, that this character in Blood Simple feels like a character you can sort of bargain with, and you can,
offer him more money, and he's on your side.
Yeah.
He's so sleazy. Yeah.
He's a sweaty bastard.
That's my compare and contrast moment regarding this film, but I would. But one thing I think there are. Where Dave said at the beginning of this conversation that there's no film quite like it. But if you have seen this film, I know this doesn't apply to Andy, and you're looking for something of a similar ilk, there are these. I mean, this falls under what you call the subgenre of a neo-noir. So these film noir films that are set in sort of modern day, and they normally involve some sort of love triangle as well. I think a film that this is most similar to is an Australian film that was released in 2008 called The Square. It's really good. I'd recommend it if you guys haven't seen it. It is.
I've heard of it. Never heard of it.
It's really good, and it made me think about this film quite a lot.
I thought you were going to say the film where they kill kangaroos in real life. That 70s film, which I can't remember the name of.
Have you seen that yet?
No.
Wake and Fright, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wake and Fright.
Is it on Amazon? I can't remember.
I think it might be. I think it's on. There's like a YouTube rip as well.
Who is in The Square?
I don't think there's any like known actors. It's made by Nash Edgerton, and Nash is Joel Edgerton's brother. So Nash and Joel they start this production company called Blue Tongue. I think it's called Blue Tongue. And so Animal Crossing, not Animal Crossing, Animal Kingdom. That's part of one of the Blue Tongue films, and so yeah, I'd recommend that. You know what?
Sorry to interrupt, but if anyone hasn't seen Animal Kingdom, and have to thank Shafi, because I probably would have missed it if it wasn't for Shafi, but that is a film. My gosh, I cannot get over how good Animal Kingdom is. Like, it is close to a perfect movie for me. It is so good.
Some people were picking that as their like best film of the decade and stuff like that.
Honestly, the best film. If someone said that's my favorite film I ever watched, I'd be like, brilliant, fair enough, because it is so intricate and so beautiful, and at times there are just little things where it flips, and like when the lawyer is talking to them and stuff, and now you're talking to me in the real world. I can't get over how good that film is. Animal Kingdom is such a good film. I don't want to say it's in my top 10 or my top 50 or my top 100. It's nothing. It's just a film that every single person must watch once in their life, even if you don't like films.
Kyle, have you seen Animal Kingdom? Or
no, mate, it's the first time I've heard of it, to be honest, mate.
They made a TV show of it as well.
So good. It is so good. I mean, turn around, big cunt. Sorry. It's such a good film. My God.
Yeah, Andy, Rogue One?
Yes, mate. Now we're talking.
The villain in Rogue One, Ben Mendelsohn, that was his sort of breakout role in Animal Kingdom.
Oh. I like that guy.
He's a cool guy, isn't he?
Have you seen Standout?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, apparently in real life he's a fucking nutter, isn't he? Like,
I hope so.
Shafi, you have to remind me of the director of Rogue One,
Gareth.
Gareth Evans.
No,
Gareth Edwards?
that's the raid. Gareth Edwards. Yeah, Gareth Edwards. Yeah.
So, apparently he was scared shitless of Ben Mendelsohn on set, and the scene where he's talks to Darth Vader, he pulled a really angry face and called the director over and said, "Come here." He whispered in his ear, "That's fucking Darth Vader."
And you know what? It's funny because that Donnie Yen fight scene in Rogue One, even though I'm not a fan of that film, I have to give my hats off to, because I think Donnie Yen actually brought in all his stunt coordinators to do that scene.
Oh, cool.
So those are Hong Kong guys behind, and that's why that, you know, I was like, oh yeah, that like really is such a kind of nice, even though it lasts for a few seconds, it's such a nicely choreographed action scene. See, that's someone who should have his own spin-off. Forget about your friggin' Boba Fett, whatever.
Yes, mate.
Whatever.
Nice. Okay.
Right. Do we conclude on Blood Simple then? How do we finish?
You know what? I was thinking, instead of us doing a score, how about we describe our feelings about the film in one word?
Wow.
Oh God, one word.
One word? Are you insane?
Okay, 3 words. 3 words.
Oh, I don't know. I need about 20 seconds, man.
I'm happy with one word.
Okay, 1 word.
My word is tense.
How about you, Andy?
Oh, I can't. I don't want it to be a negative because it's
But to be honest, you do have negative feelings towards this film, so it'd be dishonest of you if you didn't say a negative word. Okay, what's you changing your word to, Kyle?
Sweaty.
Dave, what's your one word?
I'll give you one word. Freaking awesome.
Okay, that's well done. Yeah, as usual, you don't stick to the assignment, do you? You just
I don't play by the rules.
How many GCSEs you got?
9, mate. All of them. Took them all, passed them all. Easy.
And Andy, have you got a word?
Oh, this is really hard. I'm only allowed one word. I've got too many emotions about this one because I love the story. I don't like the visual experience. I'm glad I've watched it. It would have been all right if I've never seen it.
So maybe just the word is mixed?
Yeah. Mixed.
You slag.
Don't get me wrong. I'm glad I watched it. I can't, like last night I watched that Chinese film, the Wandering Earth. Right now, I will never ever get that time back. And I'm gutted about that. And I think all of China should hang their head in shame about that. But with this, I'm glad I saw it, even though I didn't particularly like it.
Okay.
I hope there's some listeners out there that can, if there are any listeners out there that agree with me, I'd like to see, if you post some comments at the bottom of this link or anything like that. It'd be really interesting to get your views on that. I can't be alone on this.
You're going to be a lonely guy.
I think he's just talking generally. So I think it's, and I'm going to go with the word intense. So thank you very much for choosing that, Dave.
I enjoyed it, Dave. Thank you.
At least we had stuff to talk about.
Yeah,
so,
man. Yeah, exactly. At the very least, it's a film that demanded a debate.
Yeah.
I probably would have never watched it if it wasn't for this.
Yeah, and absolutely, and I'm glad I did. If that gives you the positive to end on, I'm the most unhappy person here about the film, but I'm glad I watched it.
That's nice. Honestly, I know it's asking a lot, but I would recommend a second watch.
No, I will. I absolutely will. I think it would have been a better book. It would have been a better read. I could have imagined all these amazing things in my head at my own pace, and just don't know. The visual experience let it down for me.
Oh, the gritty visual experiences makes it for me.
Oh, did I make the bill on ITV 20 years ago?
Let's see. This is it. Get ready, listeners. The podcast war is on. Andy and I are at war from now until forever.
Right. So this is something that I've been looking forward to for quite a while. It's something that's been on the back of my head for quite a while. Kyle, it is your turn for the next choice of our film, and I've been scratching my head thinking what you're going to pick. So I'm so excited to know, Kyle, what's the next Who Dropped the Popcorn podcast film is that going to be about?
So I'm going to give you 3 guesses to guess what the film is.
Free Willy.
Right. 1, it is a cult classic, but you've probably not seen it. Shafi may have seen it. Pretty sure Andy and Dave have.
Warriors.
The Last Dragon.
Second clue, this film also came out in 1984.
Oh, we've all seen the Terminator, mate.
1984.
This film came out when?
1984.
Right, I'm going to get this.
That's right. We just
mate,
Google
please.
1984 films made in 1984. Okay, what's the third
Is it
clue?
Gremlins?
The
Police
third
Academy?
clue is
Beverly Hills Cop?
the guy that played Marty, Dan Hedaya. Is that how you pronounce his name? Dan Hedaya? Hedaya?
Yeah.
Is also in this film.
Wow.
I looked up his IMDb and I can't remember.
Go look it up. Look it up.
Okay. I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know.
The film that I choose, I apologise, is drum roll.
Hang on. Hang on. Do you want a drum roll? Because I can get one.
Nah, mate, it's all right.
Hang on, I'm looking it up. Is it Blood Simple?
Bloodsport.
Is it Bloodsport?
No.
Is it?
No,
No,
yeah.
No, it's not Bloodsport, no.
Is it Blood Diamond?
I really hope you've not seen it, but it is The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai
Oh,
across 8
shit.
dimensions.
Yes.
What the hell is this?
Yes.
Is that a cartoon?
Yes. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai. Yes.
Hang on. How do I spell that? The
Adventures.
Bonsai.
The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai. There's a long. I think there's other words in that title. I can't remember.
Right.
So this
I'm
has got
gonna
to
watch
do.
it
This has
tonight.
got to do with you listening to Kevin Smith, right?
That's right, yeah. So he was going to do a TV show, but that kind of got canned in it. But yeah, this film's got Peter Weller, Jeff Goldblum, John Lithgow, Christopher Lloyd, Clancy
Yes.
Brown,
Oh my god.
Dan Hedaya.
Oh, Carl, you legend. You
Sorry,
legend.
can I
I'm
just
sorry.
clarify? This is the adventures of a rock star brain surgeon comic book hero samurai who travels across the 8th dimension.
That's right, man.
Fabulous. I'll watch it tonight.
I'm going to take tomorrow off work just to think about it.
Have you seen it, Shafi?
I haven't actually. No. I'm very excited to watch it.
Just don't Google anything about it. Just it's on Amazon.
No,
so
I
just
won't.
watch
I'll
it.
just watch it.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's it on Amazon?
Dave, can you rent films on Amazon or?
If Shafi rents it, then I can watch it. Yeah, that's fine. I always pay. I'll pay.
Yeah, right. In which lifetime, mate?
I paid for that fucking pile of shit. What was it called? Ford versus Ferrari. I paid for all that. $5.99 that cost me.
Oh, it's the best film. It's so gritty. It's so honestly, I can't believe. And have you not seen Animal Kingdom? It's so gritty. It's so gritty. I love it.
Oh man, that was a film.
It's the best film ever, unless you talk about the Coen brothers, who've got 4 other better films. It's so
Honestly,
gritty.
Crocodile Dundee 1, Crocodile Dundee 2, Chopper, and Animal Kingdom are the 4 best Australian films ever made.
Well,
Fifth
is Animal Kingdom.
5th is Walkabout. 6th is Mad Max. 7th is Mad Max 2. 8th is Mad Max 3.
You don't put Fury Road above the other three?
So gritty.
Yeah, and it's not even an Australian film though, so why else?
Okay,
Right.
we'll
Cheers.
call this a wrap. So, Dave, any final words before we go?
Newlands is a cunt or something like that, probably.
I recommend anyone that doesn't love Blood Simple after one watch it a second time. I know I'm asking a
will.
lot, but do it.
No,
anyway.
I will.
Andy, any last, just a few final words before you go?
Yeah, they should have written it as a book, not made the film. Idiots.
Oh, who's got time to read a book? Who's got time to read a book?
Kyle?
Just a bunch of sweaty boys with flies on their faces.
Okay, you've been listening to Who Dropped the Popcorn. See you next time.